My name is Riman Pratitya, and I would like to introduce SONJO, a humanitarian movement in Jogja in response to the COVID-19. So, SONJO is the online-based social capital that we developed on the 24th of March 2020 until now. And the aim is trying to minimize the impact of COVID-19 in Yogyakarta. So how do we see the COVID-19? We see the COVID-19 as the change in the nature of the state of the world in making a decision. Anything that you have prior to the pandemic obviously will be different to what's going on now during the pandemic. During the pandemic, all aspects in that usually we do prior to the pandemic cannot be implemented any longer. A new norm should be implemented now, should be used now, and it's totally different. So in these circumstances, the adaptation and innovation will be paramount. And we always thinking about the sustainability now, because we don't know how long does it take for the COVID to last. And after the COVID become the endemic, for instance, then we will have a new world to some extent. Yeah, and the transformation will be enormous in there, and the reformation is paramount, basically. So this is the way we perceive the COVID itself. Now, this poster is very popular in March 2020, probably February or March 2020. And it seems as though that, the message is clear that we are in the same storm, but we are not in the same boat. So in a way that we cannot help each other. But then the way I see it, it's totally different. Look, on the right-hand side, we have something that's common in Indonesia, which is we form the communal work. And we're working together and helping each other. And then from the perspective of the pandemic COVID, we have to remember that we are all linked by internet. And that's make it different. One, we are not in sync. Indeed, we may not be in the same boat, or we may not be in the same house, but we are linked by internet. So the question is that, how do we perceive the COVID? Is it a disaster or is it a war? The way we see it, this is like COVID-19 is a common enemy. And we treat them as that we have like a war. But this kind of war, we don't have, obvious enemy, or the enemy cannot be observed. And basically, we just against ourselves, because the virus cannot be transformed unless we, the human, who may enable them to transmit and transform from one individual to the next. Okay, so because we don't know how long does it take that the pandemic will last, so the sustainability of movement will be paramount. And the way we see this, so what are the dominant strategy in dealing with the pandemic? One is expect the worst in terms of the impact of the pandemic. And then the second one is thinking innovatively in terms of the alternative solution. And the last one is resource mobilization. So how to mobilize the resources? If you live in developed countries, you may expect that your government may provide you with a subsidy to the business and also household. But don't expect that one too much if you live in developing countries, like in Indonesia, for instance. And in Indonesia, 50% of our economy is contributed by the informal sector. And the state budget is just only 1/6 of the GDP. So the rest of the resources is actually owned by the household and also the business. Now, thankfully, we have Sambatan. Sambatan is the communal work. It is a traditional communal work. It's flourished in Java. indeed is faded away starting in late 1980s or starting in 1990s. It's faded away in many parts of Java. But we still can see it in few places, for instance, especially in a rural area. So that's why we form SONJO. SONJO is a Sambatan Jogja. This is part of the communal work, and this is the humanitarian movement to minimize the impact of COVID-19 in our province. We use WhatsApp group to communicate and also to coordinate the movement, because of course we cannot move freely as prior to the COVID, for instance. And we work in three areas, which is health, economy, and education. And the question is that why is it that we use WhatsApp? Why don't we use other technology for communication? Because WhatsApp is very popular in Indonesia, and on the average, we spend about 3.5 hours per day to access social media in various forms. So my question is that, what would happen if everybody just spent 30 minutes a day to work in SONJO, for instance, and then creating the communal work? So there are so many things that we can do to make a change. Yeah. So this is the development of 18 WhatsApp group in SONJO. So you may surprise that there are so many WhatsApp groups that we have to manage. Indeed. And you can see from the timeline that the development is actually quite rapid. Yeah. About 1,700 members of SONJO who come from various backgrounds. You can see like academia, bureaucrats, politicians, volunteers, and health worker, and etc. Everything is in SONJO. And also we have some entrepreneurs, especially the small medium enterprise, and most of them are in informal sector basically. Okay, so this is the development of the SONJO. So we start from the 24th of March, and at the present day, starting only with one WhatsApp group and now become 18 WhatsApp group, and we use all means in like a website, database, apps, and also the social media. And one thing that's very important here is probably indeed that we are informal organization, but we have a compliance committee. Why is it that we do have a compliance committee, although we are, the informal organization basically? It is because we start, this movement has been initiated by the academia who works on anti-corruption. And the capital of SONJO is actually only one thing. What is that? Trust. Yeah, that is our main capital. But we don't have any capital, financial capital whatsoever. Yeah, we only rely on trust. And how do you gain the trust? Because we embrace the integrity and the transparency in our movement. Okay, so this is the learning curve. And if you ask, how come that one WhatsApp group become 18 in short period of time? That's probably about 14 to 15 months. Yeah, and it's we always start from something simple. Of course, everything starts from simple. We only have a one WhatsApp group. People start talking about the problem that they face, and we're trying to solve a problem once at a time. And then it's following up, because we follow the process. Then the ability to solve a problem getting quicker at that time, and so we can extend to a new program or a new WhatsApp group, for instance. And then because we have three sectors that are working simultaneously, we have economic scale, and of course economic of scope as well. And so we can handle to a more complex problem. And lastly, we have scaling up the program, and we trying to extend our networking, to many agencies. Now, the question is that probably how the WhatsApp group and even the program can emerge in SONJO. Everything is start from a problem. Okay, so some people may raise a problem that we face during this pandemic, and then usually we will discuss it more systematically in a webinar. We have a weekly webinar. It's called SONJO Angkringan. And at the moment, we managed to organize 56 up to 56 episodes until now. And the following up of this discussion is basically either we create a new WhatsApp group, or sometimes we have a new program. So of course, this is actually, it depends on the demand or the requirement, the needs from us, from members. But then what we can do is that trying to following up as soon as possible and trying to implement it in the field. So we also have the knowledge management in this movement. So we have two we have two webinars. The first one is the SONJO Angkringan. So this is trying to solve the problem that we face together. The second one is SONJO Mikunani, which is this one is related to learning new skills. And so who will, for learning new skills, who will be the facilitator? Is basically we learn from each other. So if you have a good skills in one thing, then we will facilitate you to share your skills in SONJO Mikunani. And then we put a live, we use Zoom, and then we have a live streaming and also video recording. All of the material will be uploaded in sonjo.id, which is our website. So this will be, everybody can have access to that materials. It's for free. Everything is free in SONJO. And lastly, we have a living document that we updated in a regular basis. So I just want to introduce the program in two sectors, which is economy and health, which is quite substantial here. So we have 7 programs in economy, starting from the database of the food. And this one is about culinary and also the groceries. This is the earliest attempt that we do in SONJO. And then we have a SONJO Ngabuburit. This is the online culinary festival during Ramadan. And recently we just passed the second Ramadan during the pandemic, and SONJO Ngabuburit also be used again. And then we have what I call the Etalase Pasar SONJO, or the EPS, and this one is the online showroom for small, medium enterprises. Now, in this year, we have a new program. It's called SONJO Hamburfest. So this is online festival for parcel and gift during Ramadan. But now we not only implement it in Ramadan, but also in other big holiday. Yeah, that in a year to come. And then, as I discussed before, we have SONJO Mikunani. So this is the sharing knowledge or skills among the SMEs and among the members. We have a promotion in health protocol for wedding and event organizer as well. And lastly, we're trying to promote now the SMEs to do the export. Yeah. So that's what we call the SONJO export. Okay. So the challenge, why is it that we create this? So the challenge is that the aim is that if the government implement the lockdown and only the public transport and online taxi are allowed to operate, will it be possible for the SME, yeah, to continue their operation? So this is the aim, basically. We understand that in the the lockdown is something that it's plausible. And if that's happened, the question is that how we can still have a business running, especially in the SMEs. Remember that 50% of the GDP of Indonesia is contributed by the SMEs, and most of them are actually in informal sector. Now, this is some of the example, like what we discussed before. Many of the SMEs that joined the SONJO in the first place, they used to just doing the conventional trading. Yeah, and do they have a smartphone? Yes, the majority of them have, but they only use it for WhatsApp or text message or phone. On top of that, they never use it. So in these circumstances, we try to introduce how to create how to make a poster, how to play in social media, how to promote the program in social media. And this is the way that we're trying to transform the SME from physical transaction to online transaction, because we also have the EPS, the Etalase Pasar Sonjo, yeah, the one that we can use. And this one, again, free of charge. For the SMEs, we also provide the capacity building. This is what I call the Sonjo Migunani, as we discussed. This is the Mr. Hanung Pramantyo, RIP. He passed away, but before that, he managed to share with us his knowledge about the vacuum frozen packing. Yeah, and that's make many, and his movement has been followed by, his strategy has been followed by many SMEs in Sonjo. That's enabled them to produce still in Jogja, but they can sell their product in many cities, big cities in Indonesia. Okay. Also, we trying to give them, the way to advertise themselves using the social media and etc. This is the capacity building that we provide. Again, it's free for everybody. So this is the program in health, and the blue one is actually the one that we've done, but the recent one, the one that we just do recently, is the one in the amber one. Yeah. So this is the some of the program that we do in the old days, and we trying to in the earlier stage of Sonjo, we trying to promote innovation, supporting hospital and also a health worker with the PPE and etc. And also a colleague from the faculty of pharmacy produced the VTM in a UGM, and they produced the VTM at that time. And this is for the swab, yeah. And the cost is basically, the market price is 150,000 rupiahs, and they managed to just produce at cost 20,000. So imagine, how much money that they can save, for the public. And at the moment, they managed to produce more than 50,000 VTM. Okay, so these are some program that we've done in the early stage of Sonjo. And nowadays we still do the convalescent donor, and also how to about managing the funeral. We create this kind of have a program, so the SOP for the funeral, and supporting the government for collecting volunteers for convalescent donor, and also supporting shelter of, in a village. Yeah. So we start now with some initiative or some program. In December, we have a bad experience regarding this COVID, because it surged. There is a surge in a patient at that time, and that's because of the local election and also long holidays. So between December 2020 until February 2021, it was the pressure was just enormous. There is a problem with the referral system that has been owned by the government, and we're trying to help them by promoting using the double auction approach, and we use the WhatsApp group and Excel. So this WhatsApp group is called Sonjo Rewangan. It's actually initiated by the health worker, not from us, but from health worker. Yeah, and this is interesting. And how many people that use the service that we have for the database is about 119 patients up until now. But nowadays it's the database is zero, and because we don't have any what is that, a queue of the patient that should be referred to other hospital. Okay, now at that time it was in December, back in December 2020 until February 2021, some emergency room in some hospital were closed, yeah, because of the surge in patient. So that drove us to create a triple-headed cooperation. Basically, that's why we promote at that time, the development of the shelter. Now, thankfully, the the Regency of Bantul, they already have the program for shelter in a regency level and also in a, village level and also the sub-village level. So it's wonderful, and we're trying to work with them since. Now, this is a Sonjo Husada Tangguh. Now, this is there are many things that we do here in order to support the shelter. The shelter in, especially in village and also in pesantren. So pesantren is Islamic boarding school, and we're trying to promote the development of shelter within the pesantren. Okay, and many of our network also, they are the humanitarian movement as well, but they are formal, whereas for us we are informal basically. So when we have a donation, the money will be goes to the formal institution, and then we deploy to the shelter as we wish, depending on the needs from the society basically. And also our colleague in the Faculty of Medicine she's mastering in music, and she has a musical concert, and she donated the earning of some of the earning of this concert to Sonjo, 100%. It's wonderful, and the donation has been used to support one regency shelter in Bantul, 44 village shelter in Bantul, 2 village shelter in Sleman, and 1 pesantren shelter in Sleman as well. So, and then at the moment, we created this. This is Sitangguh. It's called Sitangguh. What is this? Sitangguh is information system for shelter in the village. So what we're trying to do is trying to create a new WhatsApp group. It's called Database Shelter, and we ask the manager of the shelter or the operator of shelter to join, and then we share the information. We want to make a database for the shelter and also the occupancy rate. Now we're trying to link this with the occupancy rate of the hospital. So there is a link between the hospital and also the shelter. Because in Bantul, for instance, the Department of Health of Bantul Regency created what I call the dual referral system. So if you are a patient of COVID, if you are asymptomatic, then you may stay in you do the isolation in a village shelter. But then if things are worse, then you may be referred to the hospital. And if in the hospital some patient is getting better off, then they can go down to the shelter. So this is the dual system. This one is actually work perfectly in Bantul that can support the hospital, the existing hospital, during the hard period back in December 2020 until February 2021. Okay, and we also have the pilot project. It's called SONJO Uwo. So Uwo is a garbage actually. So this is the way that we're trying to control, some medical waste. Indeed, that in a shelter there is no need to have some kind of intervention using needle, but then we still have various substantial medical waste. Basically, we have PPE, mask, and everything. So we work collaboratively with the Panggung Harjo, the village of Panggung Harjo, and the project cover 80 Dasawisma. So Dasawisma is a 10 household basically in Panggung Harjo, and we will extend it to another 10 shelters in neighboring villages. So the last one that we have a project at the moment is we trying to do a pilot project for providing voucher for food for COVID-19 patient in the shelter. So the way we're trying to do is that, the voucher is linked to the vendors, that's a farmer, trader, shop, and also delivery courier. So the patient is still in the shelter. They can order food or anything, yeah, and then it will be delivered. And this one is linked with the marketplace is called pasardesa.id. So the pasardesa.id is the marketplace made by the Panggung Harjo village. And this one, the coverage is that they have 236 SMEs in 5 districts in Bantul has implemented this. Okay, and lastly, in terms of the networking, this is our networking. So the EPS, for instance, has been adopted by a rural bank in Magelang. Yeah, it's wonderful. And also, we have the Sonjo Angkringan that usually has been rallied by other parties using uh, uh, Instagram Live or FB Live, and also the live streaming in YouTube, for instance. So we have a partnership with Joko Jeep in Magelang, Central Java, and also with the HIMISPA and also the student organization in the Faculty of Medicine UGM. We also have a partnership with Trijaya FM, and they rebroadcast several sessions of Sonjo Angkringan. Yeah. And what about the people outside Yogyakarta who are willing to learn about Sonjo? We create what I call the Sonjo Observer. So we let them join our WhatsApp group, and they have 24 7 days, basically 7 days. They have a right to stay 7 days in the WhatsApp group to know how Sonjo has been operated, basically. And then afterward, we expect that they can create similar movement like Sonjo in their areas. I think this is it for me. So thank you for your attention, and feel free to contact me if you have any further you require further information regarding Sonjo. Goodbye.